Today's devotional reading is Numbers chapter 14 verses 1 to 45. That is Numbers chapter 14 verses 1 to 45. As always, I do encourage you to read the entire chapter for yourself. In my commentary today, I will be looking at verses 1 to 4, which says, "And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night, and all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, Would God we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore had the Lord brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, Let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt." In today's commentary, I want to reflect on the fact that success or failure begins on the inside. Success or failure begins on the inside of a person. Here in this chapter, the children of Israel had an all-night weeping and wailing service. Just imagine that. Or what else can I call it? And the reason was because they believed a negative report instead of a positive one. But my question is, why is it that more often than not, people are quicker at believing something negative rather than something positive? For instance, you can say 10 good things about somebody, and he or she will not even reckon with what you have said. But just say one negative thing, and that is the one they will remember for years to come. Some husbands and wives can bear me witness. The problem here is that of a person's mindset, their outlook to life, and the inner dispositions or inclinations of a person's way of thinking. This is a very powerful but silent force that every one of us has, and which indeed governs how we respond to situations, how we do what we do, and the eventual outcome of our lives. The Apostle Paul called it the spirit of your mind in Ephesians chapter 4 verse 23. And he said we should renew it. We should renew the spirit of our minds. The children of Israel were delivered from the slavery and bondage of Egypt, but inwardly many of them were still bound. They reasoned like mediocres and were quick to see themselves as grasshoppers compared to their enemies. They couldn't bring themselves to think of conquering and dispossessing their enemies in spite of all that God had promised them through Moses. The big lesson for us here is that victory, success, prosperity, promotion on one hand, as well as defeat, failure, poverty, and bottom-level living, on the other hand, are all connected to the way a person's mind is configured. When you see yourself as a grasshopper, it is difficult to become a giant killer. Most of the pressures and challenges that come our way help to reveal our inner thinking and tendencies. They show whether we have the victory on the inside of us or not. Because you see, when you squeeze a sponge, it is whatever that is in it that will come out. How do you react under pressure? And what sounds like bad news or good news to you? Do you easily throw up your hands and begin to mourn your approaching defeat? Or do you respond with faith like someone who knows that he or she is more than a conqueror? This is one reason why we need to make sure, as God's children, that we properly digest the Word of God that we hear. It is not enough to hear it. It must get into our hearts and minds and reconfigure our thinking and our mindset. God said that Caleb had a different spirit, as a result of which he was able to fully follow him. The question is, where did Caleb get that winning spirit from? Well, it was through the Word of God that Moses spoke to all of them. Caleb opened his heart and mind to it, digested it, and totally surrendered to it. And the result was that it created a spirit of faith within him. The fact is, several people can be given the same Word of God. And why it will transform some people, it will seem to have no effect on others. It all depends on the way a person opens up to it and receives it. I want to encourage you today to work on reconfiguring your mind from that of fear to that of faith, from that of failure to that of victory, from poverty to prosperity, and from mediocrity to excellence, and so on and so forth. Your victory begins from the inside, so make sure that you are victory inside-minded in every situation. That's my commentary for today, and I trust you've been blessed. So till I come your way again tomorrow, this Pastor Vincent saying, have a great day and bye for now.